Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Watchung Booksellers Podcast. I'm Kathryn, and I'm here with Marnie. Hi, Marnie. Hi. Today, we are excited to talk about book covers. We often figuratively judge a book by its cover, of course, but in a bookstore, we do it quite literally. Today, we are with the professionals of creating and judging covers. We'll listen in to a talk with book designers Olga Grlic and Jimmy Iacobelli and Watchung Booksellers' own Margot Sage-El.
Yeah, I met Olga and Jimmy one day in the store when I spotted them picking up book after book, inspecting the front and back, and I walked over to see if they needed help, and the conversation led to them telling me that they actually designed many of the book covers in our store. So it was a great conversation, so we thought we'd bring it to the podcast. Kathryn, what are you reading this week?
I am reading Bear by Julia Phillips. We just had her in store for an event. She's actually an MHS graduate, but lives in Brooklyn now. This book is just beautiful. I love books that are set in the woods, I guess because I grew up in the woods. It's about two young women who are taking care of their ailing mother, and there is a bear that starts appearing, and it's got a little fairy tale element to it, but it's also very touching about being a working class young person in this country, and it's pretty fascinating. How about you, Marnie?
I just got a copy of Griffin Dunn's new memoir, The Friday Afternoon Club, and it's about his very literary family, so I'm excited to read that.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll list all of these books along with the books that our guests design on our podcast page at watchungbooksellers.com. But for now, let's get the conversation started.
Olga Grlic is a book designer and currently VP, creative director of Wednesday Books, Griffin Paperbacks, Essentials, and executive art director at SMP Group of Macmillan Publishers. And with her in conversation is her husband, James Iacobelli, known as Jimmy, is a book designer, currently senior art director of Atria Books, an imprint of Simon & Schuster. Both are graduates of School of Visual Arts in New York City. They're local residents here in Montclair and regular customers at Watchung Booksellers.
And Margot Sage-El has been judging books by their covers professionally for over 30 years. The owner emeritus of Watchung Booksellers, she recently passed the helm to her daughter Maddie, but continues to help with author events and in-store activities. When not at the store, she is busy running around town with her 3 granddaughters.
Enjoy the conversation, and we'll be back after to fill you in on what's coming up in the store.
Hi, Olga. Hi, Jimmy.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks so much for coming out for this. I'm really excited about this talk because I truly believe in judging a book by its cover. So it's great to hear about the magic you guys put into it. Give us a little background.
Well, so I kind of fell into it. It was my senior year at SVA in the city, and I'd landed this internship at HarperCollins a few months before I was about to graduate, and I was there for a few months, and just so happened one of the designers there was leaving right when I was about to graduate, and she just told the art director, why don't you hire Jimmy? He's been here, he knows what's going on. And he was like, okay. So he hired me, and I was one of the only friends of mine that were graduating that got a job as soon as I graduated, which was
Wow.
amazing. And yeah, that was it. I stuck with it ever since, and that was 2006. So
Wow.
it's been a while
That's
so
great.
far, you know?
And Olga, you also started as an intern, right?
Yeah, I was School of Visual Arts and really interested in printmaking, had no interest in using computers at all, so I thought I should probably get a job to learn how to turn a computer on and somebody will pay me for this rather than do it in school. So the first job I found was in the Flatiron with St. Martin's Press. So I started my internship there and also have stayed at the same company for 23 years.
Which is really kind of unbelievable because everyone I know,
Yeah.
it's, I always said it's the most incestuous business, but it's not because restaurants probably are as well. But like so many, people just, funnel around together.
Yeah,
So.
It's a
well,
big
it's
carousel.
smart to funnel around. I don't think you were much smarter at funneling around than I was. Yeah.
I did, more so. But yeah.
So tell us, so I'm always curious, like how does this start? Do you actually have to read the manuscript?
I would no. I mean, there's a lot of instances where there is no manuscript yet.
Right. So we do it so far in advance that when
Wow.
the books are launched within our company, so we each work for a different company,
Right.
but there's an internal launching of the books where you first learn of the books on the next list. Like right now, we just packaged Winter 25.
Oh.
Right, so we learn of the books. We talked about which books we're going to be working on, and the editors sometimes don't have manuscripts ready. So when people are like, do you read every book? I would love to, but they're sometimes just not available. And then we learn about the positioning of the book, what the book will sort of be about, what's the positioning of it time-wise, cover-wise, what it will compete with.
Oh, interesting.
You know, where it will sit on a shelf. Like, what are the big books right now that are working? Which is why we get in the familiar territory of why everything looks the same.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that at one point. But you have a sense of what the book is about, as well as the whole marketing and editorial.
Yeah, I think so. We definitely get that translated to us from editors and other people within our teams that have a sense of what the book is, even if there's much reading material for it yet. But
right. So I'm also curious, do either of you have like kind of a philosophy of design that you like to, or
no,
are you just responding to?
We both work for very commercial houses, so I like to say I'm in the business of waitressing more than I'm in the business of baking. I hear orders and I try to deliver what I heard. So yeah, it's not as much as what we personally, or I personally think would package a book as it ends up being most of the time.
Because I think you said it's by committee often, right? I mean, it's
a lot of cooks.
Yeah. The author has ideas, the editor, then the sales jump in. And
right, that's after. Like, the author and the editor sort of talk about what the cover would be like. And then once we start working on these covers and they're presented to the editors, publishers, if they pass those, then they'll go to sales. After sales, they'll have to be seen by marketing. It's just a lot. The approval process is so vast, and for more commercial titles that we work on, they involve a lot more people, you know.
Oh, that's interesting. More commercial.
I think so.
More people.
Yeah, I think it depends on the author and the book too. I mean, there's instances where you'll have some designs, they get approved by editor, publisher, and you're done. I mean,
the higher the expectations, the more involvement.
That's interesting. And is there still that influence from major distributors, like the big box stores and online stores? Do they have a say the way they used to?
It's the salespeople that now have a say that are selling to the big.
Yeah, to the big.
Right. So that we used to hear, you know, Target doesn't like this cover, you got to redo it. But now it's the salesperson, our salesperson, that's selling to Target, that's preempting that by saying, I don't think Target's going to like this.
Oh, that's
so that has very much been altered, and that I think that is a big change that we've
because wasn't there one buyer who liked shoes?
Cecily, there was a Barnes and Noble buyer that like hated white, and there was just a lot of rumors that I don't even know how many of them were true or not, you know, but urban myths of color hating and
but definitely accounts like Barnes and Nobles and whatnot, they ask specifically for certain versions of books too. I know, like, currently we're doing a bunch of special editions marketed just to Barnes and Noble that they're going to purchase and have in their stores. So they're big influences on ultimately is on the cover too at times.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I can understand. I mean, I do feel that the publishers are starting to recognize, or have been for the last few years, the importance of independence, but the reality is we're still like, 2,000 little clients,
but stronger than ever from the statistics we get. And they're doing really great.
And so how does it happen that, like, in a season the same kind of books come out? Like, you know, the sepia tone for one season, then there was aqua,
like the trends, you mean?
Yes, the trends. Like, I always say, are these art directors having drinks together and then come out and say, yes, we're going to go with teal this season?
Well, it's by chance. You know, we go to the bookstores to see what's out there too. You know, we're influenced by what's there, so maybe subconsciously we're attracted to those colors too, so we use them in a way for our designs.
Yeah, but that would have been what's in the bookstore.
Right, but mostly it's saying, hey, this worked. Can we do this?
Right.
I mean, look at the covers. Like, what's the big draw, you know? Turquoise pool.
Yeah.
You got the woman from behind for historical fiction.
Yes.
Like, things work. And so they're like, why mess with what works? And my natural instinct is mess with it as much as you can because
Exactly.
people love different. That's
Right.
what's attractive.
Exactly.
Not the same, but that's where we very much disagree.
So that's
Clashing.
your biggest battle.
My personally biggest
Yeah.
battle, yes.
Because as I said to you both, you consider yourselves commercial, or that you deal with commercial books and the art, but I don't find your covers to be commercial. They really are art covers. Your webpage is amazing because it's just covers. There are no word, there's no description, there's no story.
Right.
It's very striking and beautiful. So
I think
proud of
that's
them.
the challenge
Others,
too. How do you make something that is quote unquote commercial, but
Right.
how do you make it feel more arty or not so generic in a way? And I think that's what I really try to do in my covers is twist that commercial line much as you can and skate it. And,
yeah. Oh, that's a good
feel
way
proud of
putting
it too.
Yes.
You want to feel good, like oh. I
And
made
ultimately, it's like the greatest job ever. Once you take out all the little tweakings and all the things that we deal with, it's you never produce the same thing, even if it looks the same.
yeah.
You never, not a single book is ever the same as the previous book,
Yeah.
which not very many jobs have that
Right.
luxury of not having a repetitive pattern.
I mean, that's at the bookstore. It's like we've got 1,000 new products every week. So
Right.
it's the same. So I actually kind of like I don't know if it's a trend or whatever, but that the publishers are trying to have a look per author, or I guess if authors have made it and they have a body of work.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel about that? And have you worked on one? I didn't
Yeah,
notice.
I-
Yeah, I mean, I
bunch of
work on
those,
many
yeah.
of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's more or less, sort of picking up the same typeface from book to
Okay.
book, and that's sort of the base of how you can distinguish them. They feel like a
Also, it
unit.
connotates it worked. You
Right.
wouldn't be packaging them identically if the first
Yeah,
one did
that's
not
true,
work.
too.
So
No,
it's just,
except for some are issued to like
it's like a
reissued.
library.
Yeah, like
or
all of a sudden
like
it's
the Penguin
oh.
Classics or things.
No,
to
no,
look,
not Penguin Classics, but like Philip Roth.
Right.
Like they all had different covers, and then
to
someone,
do the backlist, right?
Yeah, to
right,
do back-
right,
yeah,
right.
when they-
to just have it more uniform.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do that a lot now, right? Where
Yeah.
we just take the old backlist that maybe was varied in design and
Right.
style because they were designed, year after
Yeah.
year. It changes, so they take that chunk of 10 books at one time, and
Yeah.
we just make a new look that carries over.
Yeah, I actually like
consistently.
that.
It's fun. I think it's a nice way to have people want to collect them all, or
Yeah.
they look good together as
Yeah.
a box set or however
On
they're
your
being
shelf,
packaged.
yeah.
For sure.
Plus, it's great for marketing because
Yeah.
this sort of gives them a new story to sell more books.
right. And then but I still have people coming in saying, "I want this cover." It's like it's not produced anymore. You're
Right.
So it's hard. You're obviously with two different houses, and you have different styles,
Yeah.
but you have one website.
Yeah.
So you're kind
we
of
have two websites.
Well,
Oh, do
we
you-
each have a website.
yeah,
yeah.
but it's
website.
but it's
They're
like
linked.
we
I
have a-
think.
yeah, they're linked.
Yeah.
We have
I guess
We
as
have
in
the same
life.
Instagram page where we thought it would be really fun to reclaim a lot of covers get posted by cover designers on Instagram, and it's always like really beautiful, arty, incredible covers for very literary, fascinating novels. And so we said, oh my God, wouldn't it be great if we would start a page together where we would just post a cover a day? I mean, we do so many covers that we could just do a cover a day and reclaim this, like, it has to be amazing, it has to be perfect, it has to be beautiful, you have to be proud of it, and just do it. And then of course we gave up halfway because it was
Well,
like
it
so
went from a
it was
cover a
like
day to
yeah
cover a
cover
month.
yeah like cover month, but we
every 6 months.
we produce so much,
I know you said
it's like
how many covers do you produce? 30 a week?
well, no, I mean, it's not 30 a week. I mean, we do, I just packaged the book that I did 120 comps for to get to the final cover, right? So it's hard for me when you say, how many book covers do you do? It's like you're thinking of
that's
the final
120.
covers, but the variations that took you to get to the final cover are so vast. Well, our cemeteries are very, very big of all the killed covers that we have.
Yeah, we have lots in our back pocket there.
That's interesting. So I never heard that term. So your
Right.
cemetery, like
Yeah.
that's your archive file,
Yes.
right? Do you go
And
rightfully?
that's where working together is very fun because we'll remember each other's killed comps and say, oh my God, remember that thing you did 3 years ago? Like, I need it. Give it to me now. I have a perfect book for it. So even though we work for different companies, because we share a workspace and we work together, we can sort of lean into each other's covers for that.
That is great. And yet you've been able to maintain your own styles.
Well, I mean, we're different people. We work for different companies. We work on different books. Yeah. We're like 2 CIA agents that live under the same roof.
It's a good way of putting it.
We have our own secrets. We can't like give out our company secrets to each other, but we work together. It's
Have
fun.
you ever thought of combining? I don't know if you know Leo and Diane Dillon. They used to, I don't even know where they started and stopped, but how they worked. Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah, I mean, we worked together a bunch of times. Jimmy has hired me. I've hired him.
Oh.
We've done covers together. We always say, we said we do couch art directing where
Right.
we'll comment on each other's work, but not in
Well, it's nice to have her there because we are so different in styles and thinking that her thoughts lead me to things that I couldn't have come up with, and vice versa.
Right.
And so that's what's really helpful too, is each guiding each other's design in a certain way.
And also, we do a very collaborative work, and now after COVID, like everyone's working from home alone, and sort of we've kept this like communal thing going, which has been really...
Which is really important in creative work. You can't just work in a vacuum.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have opinions about what we do already.
Yeah.
That in order to keep sane with all those, like we keep a sense of humor and we can laugh about it and think it's hilarious. And we have a sign in our office that says, "Would you like fries with that?" Because that is ultimately what we do.
Right. Well, I take those as challenges too. It's like, what is it then? You don't like something? Cool. Why? What is it? And trying to dissect what that is, I think, the most fun for me. Because I don't have an ego of what I'm doing. If you don't like it, fine. But let's tell me what you don't like about it.
But that's the problem-solving.
Yeah. And so that's it's really challenging and also amazing to work with, a publisher and sales and editors and multiple editors and authors. So you're trying to learn 100 different languages and visual languages that they're trying to communicate, and I'm trying.
Non-visual people saying what they do not like about a visual is a very fascinating process.
Yeah, because then you have to really extract what
you're
is
translating
it actually?
things that are nonsensical. They're like, I don't like it. It's too blue. Oh, it's a purple cover. Okay, sounds good. And so you're constantly translating things, and that's the problem solving. Why I think personally this is a great job is because you're constantly solving problems. Everything is a problem, not a negative problem, just a problem to solve. Yes, and it's really fun.
And then you must have repeat authors and editors. So you already kind of know what they're looking for or how to interpret what they think they're looking for. You
understand their visual language too and what they like or don't like. So you lean your designs that way. So you're not gonna have to redo it later on or something.
Right. Well, obviously, since you've both been in the business for so long, you're obviously doing it right. So
we're doing it.
You're doing it. So
sometimes it's not right.
So now you're both. So you just recently moved to Montclair. You said
we just moved to Montclair
recently.
4 years ago.
4 years.
We keep saying just yesterday, but
I know, but
4 years ago.
COVID has whatever stretched time.
We never thought we would move, and then when it all happened, we were like, we gotta move, and Montclair was the only place I would ever leave the city for.
That's so cool. And because
I just thought it wasn't a village in the middle of nowhere, and you could walk everywhere, and it's filled with really interesting people. I think it's really important to curate people around you to lead a very interesting life, and this place kind of had it all.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough to be able to find a house because that was not very easy.
Yeah, because that was... were you right in the beginning? Was it so before?
Yeah, we moved here June.
4 years this month.
This month,
wow.
Started the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so now do you feel part of the community? Do you...
For sure.
Yeah.
I do. I bike a lot.
Oh,
she
great.
walks a lot.
We met a lot of people.
We have young kids, so we've met so many families, and we're kind of plugged right in, I think.
Yeah, it's a fun town.
That's great. I always felt when we moved here in 90 that it was a very artsy community with musicians and artists and all, but it's broadened a little more, especially as house prices have gone up. It's not quite all the funky artists said.
Yeah, we got
That
our
draws you.
biggest insult was on we parked a car in Watchung, and this guy got really mad at me, and he screamed, "Go back to Brooklyn,"
Yeah, that's
which I thought was
I know.
very harsh.
yeah. No, there are a lot of
Very
threads
rude. Yeah.
threads about.
But
it.
I felt
But it-
his rage.
I'm
yeah.
not from Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah, you did not come from. Well,
You were
I
actually
actually was-
born in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I take it
Oh,
back.
okay.
I was born in Brooklyn.
there you go. So we did the Upper West Side, Brooklyn, Montclair transition.
Oh, that's
so-
a classic.
Yeah,
though,
that
yes.
was the classic. As I said, I met someone who moved from Queens, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
When we first moved here, people came out of their houses and introduced themselves by the years they've been here and borough. So it was like Park Slope 6,
Wow.
Cobble Hill 3, and we're like, all right, no one is from Jersey. Great.
Although my kids are adults, and a lot of the young adults are moving back, which is really cool. I don't know many towns that the young adults want to come back.
Right, but
We
there are
have a
not
few
very
friends
many
that
towns
grew up
like
here
Montclair, yeah,
And live here again.
and live
Yeah.
here again. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So going back to the covers, is there a dream that you have about once you retire and move together to do something fine art?
Oh yeah,
We
I
have
mean,
so
like,
many side interests. I mean,
yeah, but definitely go back to making things by hand and not be in front of computers all day. I mean,
So wait a minute, cover design is all done on computers. at
well,
this
we do a
point.
lot of. I mean, not as
I would
much
say
as we used to.
95%.
Yeah, but we do.
But you commission illustrators,
Right.
right? Because where was
Yeah.
that? What was that one beautiful cover with a young man, naked man looking out onto the sea? I love
Oh,
that
that
cover.
was found art.
a painting,
Oh, that's
yeah.
found
That was
art.
found art. That wasn't commissioned.
Okay.
But most of them are commission. I commission a lot.
You
and
do a lot of commission stuff.
we do illustrations. We do 3D stuff. We do photographs. We do as much as we can. But it's so fun to find amazing talent and hire people. That
Yeah.
is like one of the greatest perks of the job.
Yeah.
I think, is constantly trying to keep a roster of people whose work you find so interesting, and you have it in the back in
Yeah.
your. There's a cemetery, and then there's the vault, and then the vault is like of all the amazing work that you've seen. That one day you hope at launch you hear about a book, and you're like, I got the perfect piece.
Do you rely on SVA grads a lot? Is that
no.
a pipeline for
Not
you?
at all.
or-
Like Pinterest, like Instagram, like
yeah.
finding stuff
We
online.
get a lot of artists that write us too. They're like,
a lot of stuff
I'd
promotional
love to
stuff.
work
Right?
with you. They'll send us their portfolio. A lot of word of mouth artists that we.
I mean,
hear
we've
from
like
each other.
gone to art fairs and found amazing painters that we wanted to hire. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a constant look for
Right.
people. Yeah.
That's a cool part of the job.
Yes, definitely. Love finding talent. And there's always, like, it is something that never dries dry, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's a million people that are so much more talented than you will ever be. And to get to hire any of them and work with them is such
Yeah.
a joy, you know?
Well, because for them, you're discovering them.
Right.
You're like putting them on the map. You're starting their career.
Yeah,
which
people
is
get really
amazing.
excited to be
Yeah.
on covers, you know? It's really,
Yeah.
It's also one of I guess one of the last industries where you can illustrate or design something and your name is inside a flap,
right.
physical product in a bookstore. I mean,
Oh,
you
that's
can't
interesting.
just
Because every
CDs
flap has a
doesn't have
credit.
your name
And,
Yeah.
on them. What else is there? There isn't anything there with your name on it.
yeah, people love.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. I didn't even think about that. That's great. I love it when you guys come to visit the bookstore.
I mean,
Just
that's the
poke
only
around.
way we can.
Yeah.
We're like rubbing books, and we're like, don't leave any prints.
We
But
always
we're
walk-
just like touching
We
and
walk out
oohing and eyeing.
we go, man, they must think we're so weird. We just
Whoa.
go right
Oh
to
my
the
God.
back flap. and
Yeah,
we
well,
touch
because we don't go to
everything.
the office as much, so we
Right.
don't see the physicality of these books. Sometimes I go into a store, I'm like, wow, I really see this was approved as a JPEG on a phone because the quote is so too large, and like things that you know were post-COVID, people approve some things when they're very
Interesting.
small.
Right.
Yeah, so we go to bookstores to actually see what it ends up
Yeah.
looking like.
Are you involved at all in that whole trend of making the physical book even that much more beautiful because of
Well,
the
yeah.
challenge?
Yeah, effects play a huge role in my
Especially
publishing house.
YA is
Right.
it's a strange
study
conundrum.
in-
Yeah, because like they have the lowest margin, but they have the highest effect. So it's sort of trying to figure out how to make them stand out, and also they compete with such highly designed, beautiful packages. So
Yeah.
YA is sort of like a big challenge to try to make look very special.
And is that part of your decision? Like if you do fancy end papers or the what do you
It's a
call it, when you put
budgeting decision,
designs?
you know?
Oh, okay.
It really is like what the budget allows, and then to sort of try to think of a way to do it.
Okay.
But there are many different, interiors involved and different departments in production that is involved in trying to package a book to look.
Do you work with the interior designers to have a comprehensive look, or no? Doesn't not necessary.
No, I mean they'll ask for covers or work in progress covers just so they can have fonts and type to work for their interiors because
Okay.
So there's a
they try to
cohesive
match
there
that,
is, yeah.
like title pages and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there's times where our covers just aren't ready yet,
And you see
They
it too
need 'em
once
done.
you open a book. You're like, oh, this cover was done way after
Yeah.
the book was designed.
yeah.
Do you have like a best story and a worst story without
getting fired?
Yes, without getting fired, without trashing any particular person, but
No, it's just, a lot of authors, I get it. They're nervous. They have such high expectations, but they're ultimately, in my humble opinion, their own worst enemies, because they just overthink things and
yeah.
they drive you insane with little micro.
Oh yeah.
And so it just gets to, those are the stories of just their very daunting process of
Yeah.
making sure somebody feels comfortable with where we've arrived at. Those are the horror stories. But
I think at every book signing, book talk that we have, there is a whole question about how much influence did you have on the cover and what was the process. But I have to say most of the authors are really pleased with their work. Because
Well, I
again,
don't
it's a visual thing. Like you
Right.
said, they're writers of words.
Right, but I don't think none of my experiences where we shove a cover down an author's face.
right, it's
right.
important that
It's-
an author
they gotta
really
like
loves
it,
it.
and-
Yes, I
and-
mean,
and-
ultimately, it's the dress, and they
Yeah.
need to feel comfortable in it, and it's just sort of that's finding that is sometimes a challenge.
Right, skating that world where they've created this world and we're trying to visualize that world, and that doesn't always intersect, but we also need to make it a tool to sell the cover. So, there's so many layers there, and I think
Right, which they're not always aware of.
Right, I don't think they're quite aware of that at
Yeah.
times, or so.
No, the whole machine of publishing is fascinating, like what it takes to actually bring something to fruition.
It's a lot of people that work on these things to
Yeah.
get them out, and it's
Very
a huge
layered,
process.
yeah,
Huge process.
that takes a really long time.
Yeah.
And so it's
Really
a
long
lot.
time, but yet you're producing
Right.
30 covers a day
Right,
or whatever.
right. I mean, it's just
Well, it's just a constant factory line of
Yeah.
each worker's got their own job, and they all need to work cohesively to get that book printed and out, at that release date. So
and then the magic if it works or not,
Yeah.
and then the downfall.
right.
Were there any that were a surprise to you that they worked, that they really helped push the book? Or
No, I mean, when they put a lot of money in a book, they want it to work. They're
I know,
going to
but
try to
that
make
doesn't-
it work.
But that doesn't always guarantee.
No.
Because
And-
I see that. Those sales are strong the first week,
Right, because of the push.
the push,
Yep.
all the marketing, and then it drops. The books that I love are the ones that
You
have the
discover.
long tail.
Right,
yeah,
right.
That it's word of mouth, person to
The
person.
little engine that
Yeah.
could. Yep, it is. It's true. And we read a lot of these books that they're like, this is the big book. This is
Yeah.
the most amazing book. And you read it and you're like,
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. That's my dealing with, I guess, editors. They so believe in the work,
Right.
That it's it's amazing to feel their energy, and then
well, I think they have to in order to
Yeah.
get it out. They have to pump the author.
right.
They have to tweak it to
Yeah.
it making sense. It's a lot of work on their end to
They had to
try
sell it to begin
Right,
with,
right.
to the
Right.
whatever
to
the
buy
team
it,
is.
to
Yeah, to
tweak
buy
it,
yeah.
to package it, to market it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I would not want to be an editor. I think
Yeah.
that would be extremely stressful.
Yeah, very stressful.
Yeah, I would think so. But I think there's a lot riding on what you do. Thankfully, you don't think it's stressful. Or
Well, I mean,
not too,
don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no.
It's plenty stressful. We just have a good sense of humor about it because it beats pulling potatoes out of a field every day in the sun. So I feel like I just say these are first world problems when we get a lot of very detailed emails about how to make things better.
Is there any one cover or style or any one thing that you did that you were like super proud of? I know it's like asking which of your children is your favorite.
I mean, ultimately, like having a cover that, however arduous it was to get to the end result, it is, you know, getting that many people to all say it's okay. I always say, like, only Disney can get 30 people in the room and they all say "ah" at the same time. It's a hard thing to achieve. So even though aesthetically these things might not be what you're really proud of, they
but
the problem solving and the amount of people and the process, you're just grateful it's done, accomplished.
And
next.
it looks good.
Yes,
and,
it's not horribly embarrassing. And so I feel like it's hard. I mean, there are obviously covers that you're so excited about, but you know,
but it goes away quick, right? Because it's the next one. You know,
and then it gets repackaged for a paperback.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And
so what is that deal? Because sometimes I really love the cover on the hardcover, and then...
Well, sometimes in our case, you know, we package the hardcover in a way that makes it, you know, feel like a hardcover. You know, the type is big, or maybe it's a more singular object on the cover, simpler sometimes. So... there's a look that we try to, you know, it's like a weird unspoken look for a hardcover. And then for paperback, they'll want to change
It's a different market.
Yeah, different markets now, different
market.
price points. So you have, it can be a different style. Maybe you can take more risks with it. Maybe it can be more elaborate.
And it's a track record. So
ultimately, big books don't get repackaged, right?
Right.
Like when they don't have to sell a story of, we have a new cover, let's give it a new life. I mean, that's not true. For every book, but books that a lot of money had been put into marketing and sales and it had worked and it's all over the place, you don't necessarily want to change that look and then start over.
Right.
And if it worked, then why would you? But then also there's different markets, you know. A paperback in Target is going to be different than a hardcover, and it's just different markets look for different books. Do they
have many hardcovers in Target?
I don't know. I mean, they do.
They do.
They do more than they used to, but...
Yeah. And also it's just, you know, maybe it's just changing the color for the paperback or...
I don't know. I don't buy books in Target.
It's always interesting to me to see what books work where and, you know, who's looking for what.
Right. Or when they're like, it doesn't read as a JPEG. I'm like, well, okay.
Oh, right, because that's the other new thing now.
Right, shopping online.
Yes, for shopping online. And for us as independents, we shop through Edelweiss. And
so
believe me, if there's no cover there,
it's
like
it.
I almost like slide right by it unless
that's our threat always. Do you want to not have a cover in Edelweiss?
That makes such a difference.
Yeah, I mean, what you're buying just blank.
Yeah.
That's where our jobs come in, right? Otherwise, it would just be...
Yeah. It makes you have a double take. It's like, okay, somebody felt strongly enough about this book to put this really beautiful cover together. So I'm going to dip into it and see if it works for me. So,
God, I'd love to shadow you and see which one? Which ones you're attracted to.
Oh, okay. But you can kind of tell from what's on the table. Mm-hmm. Because then, well, although that happens too, right? Like you order a book, the rep will say it's great, not great, whatever. You make a decision, I'll just get two. Not quite sure, I'll just get two books in. Then it comes in, and somehow the combination of the cover and it hits you at the right time, and you go, wow, this is beautiful. I'm going to put this out front and center, even though I didn't buy the stack.
Right. It speaks to you.
Yeah, it speaks to us.
I know, which is what another thing we tell production all the time, where it's just we wish that books would be looked more as objects. Unfortunately, budgeting doesn't allow for that, but little special things that the paper, the embossing, the color, these are such little tweaks that
make a huge
difference. But it's always
at least
like
in our world.
A budget cut, you know, it's like every school gets the art department cut up first. It's sort of, people don't really see see the importance of that.
I think it's hugely important. And I think our customers do too, because they
course.
come in. It's like, I mean, literally the joke about, that book with the blue cover, do you have it? I mean, like, it happens all the time. And then when people come in and ask for a title that we're not so familiar with, we have to see what the cover is. I mean, I could look on the computer, do we have it? But I need to see what's the cover. Oh, yes, we have that. And it's right over here. Like that, that stays. And that's not just me. I think that's most of our booksellers.
Yeah, I mean, God, I love coming to your bookstore and looking at everything. I mostly buy cookbooks in your bookstore.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, that's my jam.
What? And do you cook with them, or
I
are you
do.
a cookbook reader?
I am both.
Okay.
Our son loves it too.
Yeah, he loves reading cookbooks.
We have a tab there, don't we?
Yeah, we do. First thing we did when we moved to Montclair is I came to the bookstore and I asked, could I open a tab to allure my children to come out of the house? And my daughter is a huge reader, and I was like, well, leave the house, go buy a book. And that's how we got introduced to constantly being at the bookstore.
Well, and thank you for that.
Oh my God.
Thank you for keeping us here, as I always say.
Right. I don't, that's like the ultimate. You can't move to a town that doesn't have a bookstore.
And then it was this summer that we opened up the kids store. Yeah. And that's a whole nother space to celebrate book covers. Aubrey Ciceche did original art based on the characters and the covers that she's put around the room. It's like a very simple interpretation
beautiful.
of the covers, but it works so nicely. Yeah, and back in 1990, there were 5 bookstores in Montclair.
Wow.
Yeah. Everyone got really hurt by Amazon, obviously. Barnes & Noble kind of affected us as well, but then Amazon, like so many places, shut down. But now everyone's coming back, and now we have, besides the Montclair Book Center, there's that new ISIS, which is art books, and which you guys must go and visit.
I have not yet been.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be beautiful. And then, in Verona opened up a bookstore. It's like, this is like amazing. It's like we really are going back into the...
But I think that's the ultimate thing that people really want to touch and buy books,
Yeah.
This is where you will never go out of business.
We have customers who order, like, the one book that they want, they order online to come pick up, and then they go, through and see what are the books they didn't think they needed to have, but they do.
But just the physicality of seeing a book is, you can't.
It's the covers.
Yeah. Well,
It's the covers.
Right. I mean, they're just little covers. Well, there's so many amazing designers, and so many, we just are fascinated by the things people are coming up with, and especially people that work in a process like ours where there are so many cooks involved, and so we're just fascinated by what's coming out, and it's like a never-ending wonder of looking at covers,
That's cool.
However many trends make them look exactly the same, there's still so many that stand out.
Yeah, there are.
And those are the ones you gravitate towards.
But I was going to say, but that starts the trend, right?
Yeah.
The one fabulous original art that came out, and then everybody copies that.
It morphs into a bunch of others. But
this was great to have the time to talk to you guys.
Thank you.
And to hear about the energy that you guys put into the covers. It's really wonderful that you have a life that works so well and gives
we're big readers,
gives us these great products.
It's like a great job, I think, personally.
the
We
best.
both fell into it, but it ended up being such a great career.
Well, and it's obviously changed over the years that you've been there. 20 years, 30 years?
Almost
20.
Almost 20.
20 for you, 23 for me. Yeah.
It really hasn't changed all that much.
No.
I think about it all the time. It's one of the only industries that's sort of like tech-proof in a way, besides the Kindles and the iPads that kind of made us surge in the ebook stuff, but it's it's you've had to morph certain things because of the tech, right? I think maybe just the way it's sold, marketed, right? It's a lot of social media marketing now and whatnot, but I think the basis of it, it's still the same
about the
thing,
books.
That is actually interesting.
There's CDs, they're gone. DVDs are gone. I mean, they're still here. Books are here. People want to read a physical book. And so there's something really special and traditional about it, and it's really cool to just be a little part of that history.
Yeah.
Beats packaging toothpaste.
Yeah.
It what?
It's a Beats packaging toothpaste.
Oh, yeah. That's true. And it's art all the way around, right? The art of the written word, the art of the cover, it's the art of the ideas that get passed around. So thanks for being a part of that and thanks for making our bookstore look so good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Olga and Jimmy and Margot. We loved hearing about your work and loved seeing you in the store.
And before we go, let me share a few of our upcoming events. Tonight, Tuesday, July 9th, we are so excited that master spy thriller novelist Daniel Silva will be here. He is launching his latest Gabriel Allon novel, A Death in Cornwall, that just came out today. Tickets are still available. You won't want to miss it. It is going to be so great. And this Thursday, July 11th, we welcome Joyce Maynard back in town with her latest novel, How the Light Gets In. She'll be in conversation with our own Alice Elliott Dark, and they are going to have a great conversation.
And next week on Wednesday, July 17th, Haley Krischer is debuting her first book for adults, Where Are You, Echo Blue? And don't forget to register for Montclair Public Library's send-off karaoke party for Janet Torsney on July 25th at Tierney.
You can find out more about all of our upcoming events in our newsletter, show notes, and at watchungbooksellers.com. Recording and editing at Silverstream Studio in Montclair, New Jersey. Special thanks to Timmy Kelleny, Bree Testa, and Derek Mathias. Original music is composed and performed by Violet Mujica. Art and design by Evelyn Moulton, and research and show notes by Caroline Shurtleff. Thanks to all the staff at Watchung Booksellers and the Kids Room for their hard work and love of books.
And thank you for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, please like, follow, and share it. You can follow us on social media at Watchung Booksellers. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to wbpodcast@watchungbooksellers.com.
We'll see you next week. Until then, for the love of books, keep reading.